Welcome to day 9. Now, if you have been following me, you will know that day 7, day 8 have been 2 days of just resting, refreshing, and now we're back at it. So, for day 9, the message is exposure. And this is so encouraging to me because this has been a prayer that I've had, and I'm using a different camera, so I'm like trying to remember where to look. But this has just been a prayer that I've had over the last few days, and just in doing this. So, if you've been participating, I hope this has been bringing you, if nothing else, just a bit of encouragement to start seeking God for yourself. So, again, it's exposure. And I'm going to read 2 verses to you. The first one is Jeremiah 11:18, and it says, "And the Lord informed me, so I knew, then you showed me their deeds." The Lord informed me, so I knew, then you showed me their deeds. Basically, there are people plotting to take him out, but God showed him. And the second verse is Second Kings, and I'll start at verse 8, chapter 6, verse 8. Time after time, when the king of Syria was at war against the Israelites, he met with his officers and announced, "I've decided where we will set up camp." Each time, Elijah would send this warning to the king of Israel: "Don't go near there. That's where the Syrian troops have set up camp." So the king would warn the Israelite troops in the place to be on guard. The king of Syria was furious when he found out what was happening. He called in his officers and he asked, "Which one of you has been telling the king of Israel our plans?" "None of us, your majesty," one of them answered. "It's an Israelite named Elisha. He's a prophet. So he can tell his king everything, even what you say in your own room." Y'all, this message is so encouraging to me because I believe this is going to be a time of exposure. If you pray about it, God will show you what's for you, what's not, even the secret plans that are happening. They said even what you say in your own room is being exposed by this prophet. And I've been thinking about this because I know a lot of times we're waiting for other people to give us that word from God. We're waiting for somebody else with a word from on high. And I always joke, with my sister about this. I'll call her like, "I'm just waiting for a word from on high. Like, what you got for me today?" But getting into the word for ourselves, praying for ourselves, allowing God to expose for ourselves. And there are attacks that are actually on you. There are spiritual attacks that you're going through. There's attacks on your destiny, on your purpose, and you may not even be aware that you're in agreement with those attacks. You may not even be aware that you're opening the door for the enemy to operate. You're allowing the enemy to just have free reign over your life, over your children, over your loved ones, over your marriage, over your job, over your all these things without even realizing it. So my prayer today for day 9 is exposure, and 9 is that judgment number. So allow God to bring to light what's happening in the darkness. God doesn't deal in the darkness. He's calling us to be a light. And so whenever you find yourself, sometimes we're wrestling, we're battling, we're struggling, we're going up against things that we don't even understand the fullness of what is happening. But we know, even from these two examples, and there's so many examples, but from these two alone, we know that God will reveal, even in the season that we're in. Or I think about with Joseph and with Mary, and I've been watching that, just listening, reading, seeing that all over the place right now, as we're in, for many people, where we're at in the Christmas season, and you're hearing this story. They had revelation and a heads up to go hide. It's like, hey, King Herod is tripping. He is trying to kill all the babies because he does not have access to know which baby is Jesus. So y'all need to go hide. God will give you a heads up how to break those curses on your life, how to expose the enemy for what he's doing to you, to your family. And so my encouragement to you for day 9 today is pray about exposure. Allow God to expose what's operating. Maybe you're finding yourself in environments where there's contention and you just cannot figure out what is this coming from? What is the source? It doesn't even make sense. Why is this coming up, right? Well, pray about it. God will expose. He'll show you the exact spirit that's operating in that situation. And I feel like I didn't know the direction that this 40 days of breakthrough was going to go. I didn't, but right now I'm in a season of I don't care. Um, what I'm thinking or how I think things are supposed to play out. I want to be in line with God's will for my life. And my prayer is that for many of you that are faced with challenges, and it may just be a handful of you, y'all that are riding through with me for these 40 days of breakthrough. And I'm so okay with that because I know what God has shown me and I know what we're getting prepared for. And I'm just so excited about just seeing this happen, seeing this exposure come, seeing God show you what people, and it's not the people, because we don't wrestle against the people, but he's showing you what's happening underneath the surface. And so while you may have been battling something and it felt fruitless, it's like, I'm arguing every day, or I'm trying to prove my point, or I'm trying to show them my worth at work, or I'm trying to, prove that I'm trying to get this business off the ground. I'm trying to get my children to listen. I'm trying to have children. I'm trying all these things. You're fighting. You're trying to see it. I'm trying. But I'm I'm encouraging you, release it. Let God fight for you. We talked about that, where his strength is made perfect in our weakness, and let him expose. And that exposure comes, some of it is just by getting into prayer, getting into your word. God will start, you'll see like, oh, that wasn't even that's a spirit operating there. That wasn't even me. You'll start seeing things that have been occurring over and over, and it's a pattern, and you weren't even aware of the pattern. And now the scales are going to fall off your eyes. And when you see it for what it is, now you're going to be equipped to handle it, to do something about it, or to be at peace as God fights the battle for you. And so day 9, y'all, it's time for some exposure. Pray about it, because if you're facing any obstacle, any hindrance, it's time for us to break through. And part of that breaking through is going to be exposing what's behind the thing that may be bringing hindrance and delay into your life. Because until it's exposed, you're going to be doing a whole lot of work, and not a lot of fruit is going to come from it. You're going to be doing, I'm trying to think of an example of this. I see it like where it's, if you've seen, like, just imagine like a big boulder, right? And I see like a small person. Just imagine a little person, this big old boulder, and they're pushing and they're pushing and they're pushing and they're sweating and they're using every ounce of their body, and they're there for hours trying to get this boulder to move, and nothing moves. But that hasn't changed the work that they put in. They're putting in all the work, but there's nothing happening on the other side, right? Nothing's happening on the other side. But it's like, if you can just allow God to show you what you're up against, right? That whole boulder. Now imagine it has wheels on it now. And just with a slight push, the whole thing just rolls out of the way. So that's it. That is the encouragement for you today, day 9 of the 40 Days of Breakthrough. If you want to get connected, you can go to ericalatrice.com. Join the list so that you can get some even more encouragement. I'll be sending out emails throughout the 40 days. And we're getting ready for the 10-10 conference, and that is happening January 10th. So I'm counting down to that. Registration is opening up this week, and it is going to be all about bringing things to its fullness, seeing completeness in your life, seeing wholeness come about, and getting things in order. I'm so excited about it. And it's also John 10:10, the thief comes to steal, to kill, and destroy. But Jesus says he has come that we may have life and have it more abundantly. And that's what we're walking into January 10th. So stick with me for this next 40 days. Tell someone, tag someone, share this. If you feel like you should, if it could be, and I will see you in